All right, the brain is working. So showed you all about the brain. Now I got this little mechanism hooked up. I got my little DC direct voltage motor. It's actually a motor from a camper slide out. So you got a camper kicking around. These are awesome. They're a really big gear reduction motor, spins real slow. You can see a high degree of accuracy with my measurement here, so I just had to get those two pulleys, and they are not perfectly aligned, but it's not terrible. Yeah, so that's how that works. So the controller runs with an app, and then yeah, it's not it's not super complex. There are more complex things in the world. Goes down to the other end. I gotta work, it's a little jiggery pokery, I gotta work on this a little bit to get everything lined up. Like it drops, for example, it drops straight down. I'm going to run some guys, because I have to put something on the bottom here so that as it rolls down, it snugs up to the window. What would you use? I think I might just slide a 2x4 inside there to give it a little mass to help it unroll when it starts to unroll. So that's what that is. And then tonight I'll just tell Alexa, what will I tell her? Roll up the curtain, put the greenhouse to bed. And so there you can see the insulated tarp is rolling up. Alexa, stop the tarp. There it is. Then in the morning, I will say, what will I say to she who shan't be named? I'll say, I guess, Alexa, roll the tarp down. It's time to put the greenhouse to bed. And you see it's not spinning, right? So it gets bunched up on the way down, but there. So I'll put some weight, and that'll, we'll use gravity. I'll put a couple of guy wires so it gets pushed over against the glazing, the glass, and stop. So to me, I mean, that's kind of working like Jack the Bear. I like that. Now I can mess around with these cutoff switches. So now I got to get that mounted in here, and then the cutoff switch at the bottom. Basically, you think about this one will be at the bottom, so when the weight comes down and clicks it, it will. It's a switcher, so it will stop the circuit. The circuit is not now stopped, so if you press it, it starts the circuit. So it's an opposite switch. So let's roll this thing up again so you can get a good idea if you want to do this. So yeah, camper motor, 300 to 1, one little worm gear. Like, look at those tiny little wires. It does not take much voltage at all. In fact, I think it maxes out there on that red fuse. 10 amps, I think, is all that it can take. So it's run. Just to remind you, this is the Wi-Fi board, sends signals to this relay switcher. The relay switcher has a voltage coming in from the battery here, and then it has two control wires for the motor, for the polarity, so it does the flip-flop, and that's what turns this little bad boy either forward or reverse, depending on how I want it to behave. And then when that's done, if I hit the up button, it starts to turn. There's not much space in there. It was fun getting that. Sorry it's kind of loud. So there's the mechanism. And there. Sorry about that. So yeah, I gotta get things tweaked, but I mean, that's the home hacker logic of it all. So could I walk out here and do this? Yes, in the evening. But in the morning, I want it, you know, it's going to get earlier and earlier light, and I want it to come up while I'm still happily in bed. So again, Wi-Fi control, relay, DC power, controls this motor, the polarity of it, switches it on and off, and then that just is that's a simple pulley situation. So this little pulley was very interesting because this little motor is the arbor is what 10 millimeters, which is it's not half an inch. What a half an inch would be 12.8 millimeters. So I had to get that little collar in there to make things work. And then of course it's really low, 300 to 1 worm gear, and then it has lots of torque to turn this. This is an emergency blanket, so this is just an emergency blanket. What I'm using it for is to reflect, to stop the reflection of radiant heat out. The wall setup here is a pretty good dead airspace, to the extent that polycarbonate is, but there's 2 layers of polycarbonate, one on the outside, a layer of poly, and then polycarbonate again. And yeah, so my volunteers, I've been playing with this week, because if I want failures, I want them now. My little volunteers have been out here for a week, and they are looking quite happy. They're looking a little dry. They're looking quite happy. So I'm going to tidy this thing up, make sure it tracks okay, and do get this thing fixed up. And thanks for stepping in.